Dear Valve, in 2007 you released alongside two other masterpieces a little game called Team Fortress 2. It took over 9 years to create and has lasted over a decade with an active and thriving community. So it is with this in mind that I write to you on this day. I don't claim to represent everyone in the TF2 community, but I do know that this issue is very present for almost everyone who plays the game. I'm talking, of course, about the undeniable and unavoidable presence of cheaters, exploit abusers, toxic players, and of course lag bots that crash casual servers without warning. The TF2 community has for many years been devoted to your game, and has done so many amazing things both inside and outside the game in the name of something they care deeply about. I've seen and been a part of the wonderful and inviting mapping community on TF2maps.net, been a part of charities focused around Team Fortress 2 such as Rally Call, and seen Blapature Code charity events as well as Tip of the Hat. I have spent more than a fair amount of time admiring the weapon concepts, hat ideas, war paints, maps, and taunts on the TF2 workshop, hoping that the best of these items makes it into the game someday. The community that surrounds your game is one of the best out there. You gave us the tools to create and be a part of something we are all passionate about. So to see the game we all care so much about being treated this way is disheartening, to say the least. I have over 2,000 hours in your game, 4 times as much as the second most played game in my library. Though this may seem impressive to some, there are many more players with even more time invested into the game than me. Some with tens of thousands of hours invested into a cartoony class-based shooter from 2007. Since I first booted up the game in August of 2012, I've had a deep love and appreciation for the game that you've made, Valve. And I want you to know that what I'm about to say comes from a place of passion, not hatred for your work on this game. Sadly, as of recently being nearly the last 3 years, the development team behind the game has been silent. Though we've dealt with this silence before, it has never been for this long. We know only now that it's mostly due to Half-Life Alyx, your flagship VR game, and it is completely understandable that you would need all hands on deck for a new game. My main issue with this, though, is that there was no communication about this drop in support for TF2 to develop Half-Life Alyx. As a company, you should have stated that other games were going to be put on hold to some extent as developers were pulled to work on a then unannounced project. You have no excuse for not communicating to your player base about how you plan to work on the game you're responsible for. If you're pulling developers from one game to work on another, it is your job to tell the players of the game you're pulling from what you're doing. The tools of communication are yours. The TF2 blog that is linked directly to the message board on the main menu of the game should have been the first place that we heard about this. We should not have had to hear this through Valve News Network that TF2 was put on temporary hold due to devs being pulled for other projects. Although I have nothing but respect for Valve News Network, he shouldn't have been the one to tell us this information. You should have. 3 years without any news, new content, or major bug fixes says that you've abandoned the game, and honestly, I don't even know if that's the case. Valve as a company has stated through interviews that their plans are to make more Half-Life games, and that is the only public information regarding what you plan on doing with your development resources. My hope is that those who were working on TF2 before Half-Life Alyx return to the game, but we don't know that will even happen due to the severe lack of communication from you. You've let TF2 fall into utter chaos and near unplayability with the consistent lag bots crashing official Valve servers without so much as a vote kick before everyone is ripped from their matches and stops playing. You stopped caring about your old games, and it is sadly showing. You need to be honest with the community that has devoted the last 13 years to your game. What your plans are, if any. It's not Valve News Network's job to leak updates you haven't worked on in 3 years. It is your job to communicate to us what content you have planned. Again, if any. We as a community do not and should not expect to receive any new content, though it would be heavily appreciated. We do, on the other hand, expect better communication. If you have no more planned content or do not wish to devote resources to the game anymore, be open and honest with us about it. On the other side of that, if your plan is to devote the same as before or more resources into TF2, then it is your job as a company to tell us this information rather than leaving us in the dark to make up ghost stories of how many people are actually on the TF2 team. It is your responsibility to fix the game and make it at the very least playable. This is your game, Valve. You made it. And even though it's not the shiny new VR title that just shipped, it is still your game, and we are still your fans. It is your job as a company that built the game to at the very least maintain it to a playable level. Personally, I would prefer if there were more new content from both you and the community alike, but that is neither here nor there at this time. All we have is 3 years of dead silence and scarce event updates that only occur once a year, every year. I expect better of the new Valve to take care of your older titles, especially Team Fortress 2, as it has the most squandered potential in my opinion. This game could easily flourish in a market dominated by Overwatch, Fortnite, and Call of Duty. The Valve charm and amazing characters and gameplay of TF2 could still shine today if enough love was put into it. I'm not saying that TF2 isn't popular. As a matter of fact, it's hit a new player base peak in your years of silence, further proving that this game still has major potential to be a new sensation. But we can't get to that point if the game is unplayable due to lag bots and a severe amount of cheaters. These issues have ramped up in your absence, Valve, and we can't do everything ourselves to fix this. Sure, we can use the vote kick feature to kick cheaters, exploit abusers, and toxic players, but this new wave of lag bots that are crashing servers without warning or reaction time is something that we can't deal with. It's making it hard to say that you love playing TF2 when the new player experience is so muddled in exploits and offensive slang usage. It makes it hard to say that your favorite game is the one that Valve cares the least about. We have 3 years of deafening silence from you, and are only told that things might get better. At the end of the day, it is a very bad thing to not communicate your goals and intentions with your products to your community/customers. You've done amazing things in the past, and you claim to want to make new games. All I'm saying is to devote a little bit of that newfound energy into one of your older games I could certainly do with some love. Sincerely, Dave.